Hi, my name is Sydney Bassard. I am a pediatric speech language pathologist. I focus on working with children who are deaf and hard of hearing and those with reading disorders. I'm very excited to be joining the Big EI event and talking about using daily routines to support language learning. Over the past year, I have really delved deep into using a lot more daily routines in my own therapy sessions and kind of working with families for carryover of using those things. If you've been following me here on Instagram, you might have seen the series that I have called Building Language Within Daily Routines, where we talk about how to build language within making coffee or taking a bath or going to bed, and highlight not only the vocabulary, but all the other different language opportunities that might exist within doing that one daily routine or activity. The biggest thing that I get a lot when people see all the daily routines is, well, why? And my answer is always because it's functional. The goal of speech therapy isn't for kids to do these one task and these isolated activities that we provide, but it's really for them to be functional communicators with those within their environment. So what better way to do that than within activities and tasks that they do on a pretty consistent basis? So when we focus on daily routines, we're automatically promoting that carryover. Sometimes it's one of the things that we might see can be difficult for kids. They're able to do these skills in isolated settings or with, X amount of support. But then when we're trying to get them to generalize or carry over with less support or into a different environment, we tend to see that they struggle a little bit. But if we set them up by doing these things within activities that already kind of promote them doing it in a natural setting, a natural environment, then that is one less barrier or step that they have to go over when working on these skills and demonstrating these skills when they're interacting with their peers, their caregivers, or other people that they interact with on a consistent basis. The other reason that I like daily routines is daily routines promote skill over material. I love toys, as most pediatric SLPs do. I have way too many of them, if I'm being honest. But the problem that I started seeing with toys, and I think I started seeing this more during the pandemic, is that a lot of skills can sometimes get lost within a toy. Sometimes I find that parents would feel like they had to go buy every toy that I had, or, we would get stuck doing the same thing over and over again. Whereas with daily routines, the opportunities for how you do the routine, how you interact with that routine are endless. You can accomplish so much within one daily routine. And same thing with toys, but we're still focusing on the skill and not necessarily focusing on the material. So that's another reason for me why daily routines are really important. And then the language opportunities are endless, and the goals that you can target with daily routines are endless. I know that sometimes I found that I was getting stuck in a rut where we were only targeting vocabulary with this, or we were only working on, expanding utterances within one or two activities, or we would get stuck on saying the same word or the same utterance. With daily routines, the opportunities are endless. You can target vocabulary, you can target syntax and grammar, you can target retell of what happened in that event. There's just so many things and so many opportunities that come from daily routines that really, really are awesome. And they're great because it's natural for the family too. It's something that the parent is used to doing because they're used to caring for their child. They're used to doing these different things for their family. It's just helping them figure out a different way in which they can talk about it with their child. It also puts a huge emphasis on individualized care. So that is something that we have been seeing a lot about over the past couple of years, is that our therapy should be client or family centered. So when you're focusing on daily routines, as I mentioned earlier, I tend to ask family, like, what does a day in the life look like for them? I think it's a great starting place because one, you're going to get a better framework for what that family does and doesn't do. And sometimes there's cultural differences about what a family's day looks like. But there also could just be differences just because every family dynamic is slightly different and no family dynamic is the same. So making sure that we ask the family up front before we start picking activities or daily routines to target or give suggestions about that family doesn't even do, that wouldn't really be helpful or beneficial for them. And then from there, you can ask them, so which daily routine do you feel most comfortable with? Or do you feel more relaxed doing? Some families might feel more relaxed cooking, some might feel more relaxed when they're giving their kid a bath or putting them to bed. I find that if we can ask which one do they feel more relaxed or comfortable with, then that takes some of the pressure off of the caregiver and it allows them to still feel relaxed and natural while also working on those language skills and those language opportunities. So those are reasons why I really like daily routines. I think the other reason why daily routines are super important is because they promote hands-on learning. So we know that children learn best with hands-on experience. Sometimes caregivers, they go through their daily routines and the child is just kind of the bystander. They just kind of sit there and, whoever is doing whatever they need to do. But there's not a whole lot of talking or language opportunities going on within those moments. So the biggest thing is that we can help families capitalize on that. Like while you're cooking, instead of just having your child sit in the chair and they're just kind of looking at you or they're in the other room watching TV, why don't you kind of bring them right up to the counter with you? And maybe we can get them play food to pretend cut. Or maybe we can, cut something and while we're cutting it, we're handing them a piece while we're putting something else in the pot. So it's just getting them involved and building that interaction. And that's another key point to talk about as well is daily routines promote caregiver-child interaction. That is one of the most important things, especially with that early intervention population that we want to capitalize on first, is building those interaction skills with caregiver and child, really making sure that that connection is there. And daily routines do that because it promotes not only just the language, but just building interactions, whether it's laughing at things or pointing out things, it's just that natural interaction and exchange between parent and child that's going to happen on that consistent basis, but now we're just amplifying it by putting more emphasis and being intentional about what we talk about in those moments. I want to thank you guys for watching this. If you have any questions or you want to learn more about how you can incorporate daily routines into your therapy sessions, please, please, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to talk with you. You can find me at the Listening SLP on Instagram and Facebook. You guys have a great day.